Dreamscape presents Grey Zone by Clea Simon. Narrated by Tavia Gilbert. Grey Zone.
1. Writing furiously, she pushes back her long, loose curls, heedless of the ink that smudges her pale cheek. Heedless, too, of the sparks that scatter each time the fire pops and hisses in response to the storm outside. Rain and wind hurl themselves at the window, dashing against its many panes, and finding their way down the old chimney, their mission carried through by smoke and crackle, by tumbling embers. They want her out. They want her gone. Still she scribbles, but time itself runs short, snatched away by the fury outside. The storm that floods all. One line, one phrase to make her case. Such noisome beasts as do attack. No, she scratches it out. The pernicious spirit. Not that either. If only she had time. The thunder cracks the night and the sparks fly. Two hover, glowing an unearthly emerald green and growing into almond-shaped eyes. Cat's eyes, staring. They want her dead. You've got murder on the mind. The disembodied voice could have been miles away. In front of her, the kitten blinked, and Dulcie, thinking of her dream, found herself drawn into those glowing eyes, unable to decide if they were more yellow or green, unable as well to block out the terror she had felt early that morning when she had woken, gasping, in the dark. Hours later, the horror still lingered, chilling her like a draft, or the presence of a ghost. But the voice persisted. You do, you know. Murder? Chris, Dulcie's boyfriend, was on the phone. It was almost noon, a workaday Monday. The wisps of the dream should have faded as Dulcie sat at her desk with a pile of student papers before her. But while the sun, for now, shone brightly and purposefully through the window, and though her sweetie sounded equally intent, Dulcie couldn't be dissuaded. I don't simply have murder on the mind, Chris. A doctoral candidate in English literature, Dulcie considered herself an expert with words, and this inability to explain her suspicion was frustrating. I just know something happened. In the light of day, sitting in the cozy, albeit slightly shabby apartment she shared with her best friend Suze, it did seem silly. Maybe that's why she hadn't told Chris about her nightmare right away. It didn't help that he wasn't there. Not that she could blame him. Ever since the spring semester had geared up, her computer geek boyfriend had been hard at work, picking up the overnight shifts that paid the most, even when they conflicted with the Red Sox preseason. With the onset of midterms 2 weeks earlier, he'd been stuck in the science center basement almost every night, helping clueless undergrads with their programs. He needed the money. She knew that. Living on grants and student loans like most grad students, they were both struggling to pay their bills. Dulcie had a full schedule, too, wrangling freshmen through English 10 and tutoring several upperclassmen one-on-one. These days, she barely found time to work on her own thesis, a study of an obscure Gothic novelist, and if her suspicions were true, possible victim of some kind of crime. Their romance, she realized, was paying the price. Besides, she would never be able to describe how scary the dream had felt, how real. Chris might love her, but he was a computer guy, a mathematician. He'd taken a lot on faith from Dulcie, but she knew she'd be on more solid ground, detailing her suspicions in scholarly terms, without reference to her strange and troubling dream. If only she could do that. Trouble with her thesis she was used to, but trouble talking to her boyfriend? Dulcie felt uncharacteristically tongue-tied. I believe you, honey. Chris was trying, she could tell. But I'm not on your thesis review board. And you do sound kind of obsessed over what is basically a hunch. As if on cue, the kitten jumped to the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?